Have you ever noticed how something completely normal to us can seem strange to someone from another country? Every country has its own little habits and ways of doing everyday things. And when it comes to Japan, there are quite a few everyday habits that can feel surprisingly different from what many others are used to. So instead of simply listing 10 habits today, let's follow one woman through her ordinary day. Her name is Yuki. As we follow her through different everyday situations, we will see how some simple habits can look completely different from what many of us are used to. Some of these habits are so small that we probably never even think about them. So let's get started. Habit 1: Wearing shoes inside the house. After a long day, many of us come home and open the door without giving our shoes a second thought. We walk through the living room, go into the kitchen, and maybe even sit on the sofa, still wearing the same shoes we wore outside. But Yuki does things differently. When she arrives home, she stops at the entrance. She takes off the shoes she wore outside and leaves them neatly by the door. Then she puts on clean indoor slippers and steps into her home. It may seem like a very small difference, but think about where our shoes have been during the day. They walk across streets, sidewalks, dusty paths, and sometimes even muddy ground. So instead of bringing all the dirt inside, the shoes stay at the entrance and the indoor floor stays clean and comfortable. It is not a complicated rule or a difficult habit. It's simply something that becomes part of the daily routine. Outside shoes stay outside and the clean home begins at the entrance. Second habit: eating while walking. Now imagine you are walking down the street with a sandwich, burger, or coffee in your hand. You take a bite while continuing to walk because you are in a hurry. For many people, that's completely normal. But Yuki does things differently. When it's time to eat, she sits down and gives her meal her full attention. She takes her time, enjoys the food, and doesn't feel the need to eat while rushing from one place to another. It may seem like a small difference, but think about how often we eat while doing something else. We are walking, checking our phones, talking to someone, or rushing to our next destination. Sometimes
This
sitting
is
down for just a
delicious.
few minutes and actually
Just what
enjoying
I
your meal
needed.
can make the experience completely different. It's not about following a strict rule, it's simply about slowing down and enjoying the moment.
I'm
Third
telling you,
habit:
it's gonna be
talking loudly
huge.
in
We close
public.
the deal this
Have you ever
afternoon,
been on a
and
bus,
then
train,
we
or in a
celebrate.
cafe and suddenly
Absolutely
heard someone
massive.
having a very
You're
loud
kidding me.
conversation?
I can't
It
believe
can
she
immediately
actually
grab
said that.
everyone's attention.
That is
In many other
hilarious.
countries,
I know,
talking
I
loudly with
know.
friends can be perfectly normal. People laugh loudly, tell stories, and have conversations without worrying too much about the people around them. But in shared public spaces, keeping your voice low can be considered more respectful.
It's very
Especially on public transport,
peaceful
people
today.
may prefer a quieter atmosphere. It's not about being unfriendly, it's simply about remembering that everyone around you is sharing the same space. Sometimes speaking a little more quietly is just a simple way of making that shared space more comfortable for everyone. Habit number 4: leaving food on the plate. Now imagine sitting down for a meal and leaving half of the food on your plate. For some people, that's not a big deal. Maybe you are full. Maybe you did not like the food, or perhaps the portion was simply too large. But food waste can be viewed differently. There is an appreciation for taking only what you can reasonably eat or not wasting food unnecessarily. That doesn't mean you should force yourself to finish everything when you are already full. Instead, it can be as simple as taking a smaller portion to begin with. If you want more, you can always take more. It's a small reminder. Take what you need, enjoy your food, and try not to waste it. Habit number 5: blowing your nose loudly in public. Here is another small habit that many of us probably don't think much about. Imagine you have a cold while you are outside. You take out a tissue, blow your nose, and continue with your day. Pretty normal, right? But doing it loudly in a public place can make people around you uncomfortable. A more discreet approach is generally preferred. It's one of those tiny social habits that you may not notice until you visit a place where people handle the same situation differently. And that's what makes cultural differences so fascinating. Sometimes it's not the big things that are different, it's the tiny everyday moments. Habit number 6, not saying thank you for small things. Think about how often we say thank you during a normal day. Someone holds a door open, hands you your coffee, gives you your receipt, or helps you find something. We might simply smile, nod, or move on. But everyday expressions of politeness can be much more noticeable in some cultures. Small acts of service may often be met with a clear expression of gratitude. It doesn't have to be a big gesture. Sometimes, simply saying thank you can make an ordinary interaction feel like a little warmer. And it's a very easy habit for anyone to appreciate. Habit number 7, taking huge portions of food. Have you ever been served a plate so large that you immediately wonder how you are going to finish it? Large portions are common in many places. A huge burger, a mountain of fries, or an enormous bowl of pasta can sometimes feel like a great value. But meals can also be presented very differently. Instead of one enormous plate, you might have several smaller dishes, a little rice, some vegetables, a modest portion of protein, a bowl of soup, and a few side dishes. The table also looked colorful and varied without everything being piled onto one giant plate. Sometimes eating is not about having more food, it's about having variety and enjoying each part of the meal. Habit 8, making phone calls on public transport. Picture yourself sitting on a train. Suddenly, someone's phone rings. They answer it and start having a loud conversation. But on public transport, people may try to keep their phones quiet and avoid disturbing other passengers. Messages and silent phone use are fine, but a loud phone conversations can quickly attract attention. After all, everyone is sitting or standing in the same small space. A little consideration can make the journey more comfortable for everyone. It's a simple habit, but it can completely change the atmosphere of a crowded train or bus. Habit number 9, skipping the queue. And finally, something almost everyone can relate to. You are standing patiently in a queue. You have already been waiting for several minutes. Then suddenly, someone walks straight past everyone and moves to the front. How does that feel? Probably not very good. Waiting your turn is an important part of everyday public life. Whether you are waiting for a train, entering a shop, or buying something, people generally expect everyone to follow the same order. Skipping ahead can feel unfair to the people who were already waiting. It may seem like a small thing, but respecting the queue shows consideration for others. Sometimes, good manners are simply about one thing, knowing when it's your turn. Habit number 10, opening gifts immediately. In many Western cultures, when someone gives you a gift, you might open it immediately in front of them. But in Japan, depending on the situation and relationship, people may be more reserved about opening a gift right away and may first express their thanks. It's a small difference, but it reflects something important. Taking a moment to show appreciation before focusing on what's inside. So, those were 10 Western habits that may surprise Japanese people. And what's interesting is that none of these habits are necessarily good or bad. They're simply different ways of doing everyday things. Something that feels completely normal to us can seem unusual somewhere else. And that's what makes learning about other cultures so fascinating. We don't have to copy every habit we see, but understanding why people live differently can sometimes make us look at our own everyday habits in a new way. So, which of these 10 habits surprised you the most? Tell me in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.